First of all, I'd just like to say this is really cool.
Look, can we just talk about something else, please?
Since it's already quiet, I guess we might as well start the team meeting.
Greetings, Little Big Leaguers, wherever you're listening or watching, and welcome to episode 7 of the Little Big Fantasy League podcast. After taking off last week due to the Easter holiday, we are back to bring you some more LBFL and MLB action. My name is Leo, tonight joined by Carter. There's a rumor, Carter, that JD will be joining us for potentially the second half of the episode. But as of now, it's a classic duos night, sponsored by Epic Games.
It is a duos Fortnite night right now, and yeah, glad to be here.
Now, Carter, we did an episode together last year. It was just us two, and honestly, I think it turned into one of the better episodes that we had. I mean, we each got a little bit more talking time, and I think we're going to provide our listeners and viewers with some pretty good content tonight.
I couldn't agree more with that.
So without further ado, why don't we go ahead and get into the Week 2 LBFL matchup results. So we have got 2 weeks of matchups to catch you up on because we took the holiday off week last week. So in last episode, you did hear us talk about the Week 1 matchups and the results of those matchups. So let's go ahead and look at what happened in Week 2, which we previewed in last episode. And why don't we go ahead and start with the matchup between Joe and JD. Kerry Bonds ended up coming out on top of that one, and honestly turned out into a pretty close matchup against the Stephen Hawkings, with Joe coming out on top by a final of 816 to 792. Joe moved to a 2-1 record as the Stephen Hawkings, actually Joe is 2-1 currently, so scratch that, but Joe ends up dethroning the Hawkings. So kind of a tough start to the season here for the reigning champion, JD.
Yeah, and yeah, I think this was the closest matchup of that week there. And yeah, Joe came out on top. I mean, looking at their batters here, it looks fairly similar across the board here, and I mean, even same with their pitchers. So yeah, extremely close matchup here that, yeah, I think could win either ways, but Joe, the scales tilted for him there.
Yeah, some standouts for Joe specifically, as far as his hitters. Wilyer Abreu of the Red Sox had a nice week. So he's gotten off to a nice start for Boston. And Kerry Carpenter finally started to turn it on. We did talk about Kerry in last episode. He was in the leadoff spot. They did decide to move him down in the lineup. AJ Hinch calling the shots there as the Tigers manager. And Kerry ended up hitting 2 home runs during that week with a total of 6 RBI. So nice to see Carpenter get it going for Detroit.
Yeah, for sure. It's fantastic to see. And then on JD's side, looking at fellow Oriole Taylor Ward, looking like he had a pretty good week as well, and overall he's been hitting really well. He's ranked 38 currently out of all the batters, so go Taylor Ward on JD's team there as on opposing team there.
Definitely. Now, Shohei has been excellent as well. And actually, the top performer for Joe ended up being Bryce Turang, who is looking like an absolute beast this year for the Milwaukee Brewers, in a position where, if you're looking at it from a fantasy standpoint, there are not too many great second basemen out there, especially when you look at who's available in free agents within our league.
Yeah, it is a complete desert for second base. It's a very shallow position. And I think we've talked about before on the pod how Bryce is like a really underrated player. I feel like not a lot of people talk about him, and he has been, yeah, a high caliber player in that position, and yeah, seems to be continuing to do that for Joe's team this year. So it's pretty cool to see.
Now let's touch on the pitching a little bit here. For JD, he had some nice points from Chris Bubich of the Kansas City Royals, as well as Jack Leiter, who's surprisingly gotten off to a really nice start for Texas this year. Did have a tough start in his last one, but back-to-back starts for his season with 30-plus points. Really, yeah, I mean, you look at all the way down the line, even for JD. The pitching was there. Shohei performed well, Nick Pivetta, Framber Valdez. JD has struggled with some bad injury luck. But then Joe, he had Gavin Williams put up over 50 points, Tatsuya Amai with over 40, Bryce Elder, Braxton Ashcraft of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and Edward Cabrera pitched really well for him, as well as Cam Schlittler. So definitely a lot of double starts for both teams and some really solid pitching performances for both Joe and JD.
Yep, for sure. Like I mentioned earlier, they look really similar. Yeah, it's pretty cool to see the guy that he picked up on free agents, Ashcraft, there performing that well. That great pickup by Joe there. But yeah, Jack Leiter, like you mentioned, that was a fantastic performance by him, really carrying JD there for that week. But yeah, all around good pitching by both sides.
All right, let's get into the next matchup. We'll go to Walt and Carter. Carter, Rizztopia, coming out on top to move to 2-0, winning by over 100 points against Walt by week. What went right for you there in week 2, Carter? I mean, the obvious answer to that, I think, you cannot help but mention Drake Baldwin's extremely strong start. We talked about him in last episode, and it seems like he's only performed better over the last couple of weeks here.
Yeah, for sure. Really both Braves players that week on my team, Baldwin and Matt Olson. The Braves were just, yeah, really hot that week. And I was very thankful I have those two players on my team there. They did very much carry me through the week there as well. Yeah, they performed very, very well. Probably a little bit above their head, but yeah, they were my big hitters that week.
Also performing well in what you would think after putting up 50.8 points would be a double start. Sandy Alcantara, former Cy Young winner for the Miami Marlins,
Yeah.
actually ended up pitching a complete game shutout with 7 strikeouts against the White Sox, which is, a favorable matchup for Sandy there. But you don't see too many complete games these days, and he ends up, you know, also getting the shutout as well. So really nice start for Sandy Alcantara in week 2.
Yeah, that was really cool to see. I believe didn't he do two shutout, or didn't he do two complete games like back to back? Or am I wrong there?
He pitched into the 9th the following week against Cincinnati. He went 8 1/3, but I mean, he was darn close to
Oh, that's
going another complete game. I mean, to go 17 in the third innings and 2 starts is pretty much unheard of these days.
yeah. They are not afraid of yeah, throwing him out there and letting him throw like 100 plus pitches. So it was really cool to see him almost do it a second time in a row there. Yeah, it's been really cool for me. Other than facing the Tigers though, a couple of days ago, but that could be for another conversation.
Yeah, for sure. Well, looking at Walt's team, he had a pretty decent week. Pitching wasn't super strong. Couple highlights there for him. Brian Wu, Tyler Glasnow, Jose Soriano. But he did get a negative from Ryan Helsley, Orioles closer. His offense, he did have some pretty solid performances. Corbin Carroll put up 74 points, and then Yordan Alvarez continues to rake for Houston. But I think nobody has really been a match for Rizztopia to start the season. You're definitely a force to be reckoned with, and I can't help but butter you up a little bit here, Orange.
Want to butter me up for sure. But yeah, I know I've been burning bright, but yeah, I might smolder out soon here. We'll see.
I kind of doubt it. I think you've made some really nice pickups.
I hope so.
And we'll talk about those pickups a little bit more when we get into the week 3 matchups. But to stay on week 2, the Barrel Age Boys come out with their first win of the season, Tom, against Brant Herder fan club Gordie, who continues to struggle in his first season here in the LBFL. Tom winning that matchup 550 to 494.
Yeah, it was really cool to see Tom get that win. Um, uh, Andy Pajes just absolutely demolished, the ball that week, putting up 89 points there for Tom. So that was a huge contributor on his team there. And really, I feel like him was the difference maker there. I mean, he had solid performances from his hitters and some of his pitchers all around, but I really think yeah, has really put him overboard there against Gordie.
Yeah, it is crazy what one player can do in a matchup like that. Another player that helped probably push him over the edge a bit was Jhoan Duran. You don't expect to get over 40 points from a relief pitcher in a single week, but Jhoan Duran had over 43 points as he picked up a couple of saves and 4 strikeouts. So, and also picking up a win is pretty big when it comes to points as well. And relief pitchers typically do not end up getting a win, especially somebody like Duran, who's a closer for Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's a great point about the relief pitcher because yeah, you very rarely see a relief pitcher getting that many points. I mean, looking at Gordie's team, his relief pitchers, that's more of the norm you would see. So yeah, huge week for that player for Tom there for sure.
Cam Smith has been pretty hot for Houston for Gordie, but seems like he kind of needs to maybe get the pitching going. Still kind of trying to navigate, how many bench bats do I hold in this league versus, maybe do I look to pick up a couple more starting pitchers. But he's also had some tough injury luck as well with Blake Snell landing on the IL. Cade Horton, unfortunately, in that week pitched just an inning after going down with an injury, and he's going to be out for the rest of the season as he will have elbow surgery. So that was a guy who Gordie's probably counting on second in in Rookie of the Year voting in the National League last year. And unfortunately, he's going to be out for the season for both the Brant Herter fan club and the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah, it's incredibly unfortunate. I mean, just those two names on the IO there, Snell and Cade Horton, like that's kind of two names that you can build, your sort of pitching rotation around as like two top of the rotation starting guys. And yeah, both of them going down on your team or being injured like that. Yeah, Horton out for sure. I mean, it's a huge blow for Gordie, unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully he can get some other guys on the wire to scoop up there because yeah, this was some unfortunate injuries there.
Most definitely. Two more matchups to highlight. We'll go to my matchup against Kyle, the Lou Collins Heartthrobbers against Schwarbenbach Enthusiast. Quite honestly, this one was not super close. Kyle, I think, underperformed this week. He did have some nice offensive performances, especially Kyle Schwarber putting up over 67 points with a couple of home runs for the Phillies. He does have Kevin McGonigal up, who's been performing pretty well for Detroit to start his MLB career. And then nice performance from Ian Happ with over 49. Not sure if Kyle got out what he wanted to from a pitching standpoint. Don't think he had many double starts, but did have a couple of nice starts from Clay Holmes. Logan Webb pitched pretty well. Yeah, I don't know what else stands out for Kyle in this matchup.
Yeah, I think definitely his pickup there, Clay Holmes was really good that week. Yeah, garnering 60 points there, and like you said, Schwarber was a standout. But yeah, other than that, I'd say just played pretty in the middle there.
It looks like he also caught a nice start from Matt Boyd, who unfortunately ended up on the injured list for
Mhm.
Chicago as well. So some bad luck for the Cubbies, unfortunately, with a couple guys landing on the IL in week 2.
Yeah, injuries are going around a lot.
Yeah, speaking of injuries too, as we jump over to some of my performances, Hunter Brown had a nice start for me, putting up over 43 points as he went 6 innings against Boston with 8 strikeouts. He has landed on the 15-day IL. They're going to be shutting him down for a few weeks due to a shoulder injury. So he's got a strained shoulder. They're considering it a grade 2. And so bad news for Houston as they really continue to struggle to start their season. They also just had a Mai go on the IL. So these pitching
Oh,
injuries are really starting to pile up for some teams early on.
yeah, is horrible for Houston there with both those injuries. That is tough. I didn't know that about MI, so rough to hear.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
yeah, it's cool that to see you got that win, especially that big of a point difference. Aaron Judge had a good week there for you at 62 points, it looks like. And I'm just salivating over here looking at Chase Burns, the points he put up. It's 73. That is a very good week for Chase Burns there. So yeah, that's yeah, all your batters and pitchers looked like they did really well too.
Yeah, Freed pitched pretty well. Kodai Senga has been, well, we can talk about his week three start, but his first two starts of the year proved to pay off for me as I did pick him
Mhm.
up from free agents, a few weeks ago. So yeah, relievers have been struggling. Abner Uribe and Kenley Jansen haven't really gotten many opportunities to close down games. I did end up, spoiler alert, dropping Abner Uribe to pick up Braves pitcher Ronaldo Lopez, who's currently serving that 5 game suspension as a result of that crazy brawl that we saw between him and, was it Jorge Soler?
Yes, yeah, it was, yeah. Yeah, that was interesting.
That was
Or the
nuts.
doghouse.
Oh no, we're gonna have to do another special feature segment this week of the
You're
Dugout
gonna have to do a
Doghouse.
dugout doghouse. Two
How
players in at the same time.
I think you could put Braves manager Walt Weiss right in that conversation too. Did you see him take down a couple of the Angels players, including Soler?
No, I didn't see that. Did he get suspended too?
He didn't get suspended, but he tackled he
What the
tackled
heck?
Soler.
I
Yeah.
did not know that.
Oh yeah, you gotta watch the clip. It was nuts, man. And then something came out that I saw that he's like a black belt or something like that, or some kind of like taekwondo master.
Bro saw his chance to whip out those skills and took it.
I need to confirm what he is here. Walt
That's crazy.
Weiss has earned a black belt in taekwondo. And for him to take down Jorge Soler, who I'm looking him up right
Yeah, that's
now,
a
that's
big
that's a
guy,
big
right?
dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big dude. He is, according to Baseball Reference, 6'3", 235 pounds. And Walt Weiss, Braves
Wow.
manager, who's probably in his 50s, takes him down like it was nothing.
Wow. I gotta watch this after this episode. That's incredible.
Walt Weiss is 62. That dude does not look 62. That guy's in good shape. Maybe I ought to pick up some Taekwondo.
That sounds like it, yeah.
All right, we do have one final matchup to highlight for week two. And I believe Carter has unfortunately gone frozen for us. So, all right, after a brief technical glitch there, we are back to highlight the last matchup of week two between the Detroit Mariners and Otani's Interpreters. And I do have to give a big shout out to Jhoan, who is now officially a father as of today, Monday, April 13th. His
Yes.
child, baby O, was born in the middle of the night last night. So, big congratulations to the league commissioner, to his wife, and his family. Exciting times for Jhoan.
Yeah, it's incredible. Congratulations, John. Yeah, that's super cool to see that photo pop up in the group chat earlier today. It's a wonderful blessing. So it's incredible to see.
Absolutely. Nice of him to share a photo there in the league group chat. Fantastic to see, and thoughts and prayers with the whole family. It sounds like everything is going really well, and just hoping for everything to continue on that note. So good stuff there, and a nice win for Jhoan. I mean, the dude is making moves while he's in the hospital, right before I think his wife is about to give birth. He's kind of just probably, I can just imagine him sitting in the U of M hospital there in Wyoming, Michigan. He's got his phone pulled out. He's, looking through those free agents. What move do I make? And, he's out there he's out there making moves, and you got to respect the dedication that Jon has to this Detroit Mariners team, who ended up beating Cade pretty single-handedly by a final of 795 to 530 in week 2.
Oh yeah, he had some multiple guys on his team here that just really, really did perform super well. I mean, Ben Rice turned into Aaron Judge 2.0 here.
Yeah.
Must have got some tips from Judge on the same team there because yeah, he was smacking that ball that week. And
Oh yeah, over 100 points for Ben Rice. I mean, he was probably the top performer of
that
all
week,
fantasy players.
yeah, 100%. He had to have been. Because we've looked at all the teams. I don't think I've seen a guy over 100 points there. So, yeah, huge week by Ben Rice. And then looking down here, CJ Abrams at 95. I mean, that is incredible. Yeah, he's kind of having a breakout year here, even though I mean, he was great last year, but he's looking to be even better this year. So, yeah, two great players on his team that week.
Yeah, definitely. He got a really nice start out of Casey Mize, who pitched really well against Arizona. Unfortunately, did not earn the win, but through 9 strikeouts, the splitter was sharp over 6 innings of work for him. Mason Miller has been really filthy out of the pen. Um, So yeah, good to see for Jon. And then looking at Cade's team over here, definitely struggled on the offensive front. Nobody really stands out a whole lot there, except for maybe Bryce Harper. Yelich had a decent week. Lindor had a fine week as well. And then his pitching, Aaron Nola looks like he is pitching pretty well for Philadelphia. Had a really nice start, putting up 43 points against the Colorado Rockies. Not really a huge surprise there. And then a stash call up. He was actually a stash draft pick in the 2025 stash draft. It is right-hander for the Philadelphia Phillies, Andrew Painter, who has kind of burst onto the scene and put up a 38.5 in his first big league start against Washington.
Yeah, 8 strikeouts. That is really incredible for the rookie there. It could be a really cool stash pick by Cade there for sure. Gotta
Most
love it. See it from the
definitely.
rookies.
Yeah,
And
there's been some breakout rookies for sure.
yeah, and just look jump back to John's team real quick. I mean, it is just incredible that Mason Miller is a relief pitcher, and this guy has way more points than out of all just the starting pitchers here on his roster. I mean, that's just how good Mason Miller is with those strikeouts and those wins in his relief pitcher role. So yeah, incredible player on his team there.
Yep, he has been dominant for San Diego at the back end of that bullpen. All right, so that's a look at week 2. Let's go into week 3, and we will start with Carter against Gordie. Carter, your team went nuts in week 3. I mean, this was insane. This was last week. You put up over 1,000 points. I'm just going to continue to butter you up here. It'll be fitting once you see our sponsor for tonight's episode. But James Wood went crazy with over 119 points. Matt Olson continued to perform well for the Braves, hit a couple home runs that week. Jordan Walker with 4 home runs in the week for St. Louis. So the offense is firing on all fronts.
Yeah, and Gunnar Henderson too, right there at 95. I just couldn't get enough home runs that week. I mean, I'm not even kidding. There were so many home runs. I wasn't getting notifications for all of them. Like I opened the app, I'm like, yo, like Matt Olson hit a home run. I didn't even know about this. It was just there was that many. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what was going on this week. I was on steroids. It was like the steroid era for Rizztopia. It was just yeah, it was wild to see. I don't think in the 3 years that I've been part of this league, I had a week that big, other than like that one like super extended week we had that was abnormal. I don't think I've ever had a week this good that was like a normal like 7 day week. So yeah, really really cool to see my team perform that well for sure.
Yeah, at this rate, you might have to change your team name to Barry Bonds to rival Carry Bonds. If you are going to be going with the whole steroid era theme. I do
It's
have to
true.
mention one of your pitchers. We don't have time to talk about all of them, but I think a notable pickup here, which we have confirmed that multiple team owners, including myself and Jon, were trying to pick up was Taj Bradley of Minnesota. He pitched a gem against Detroit on the 7th of April, and Carter, you ended up grabbing him, and he ended up getting another start that week and put up a nice 29 against Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw after facing, formidable lineup with the Tigers and performing that well, like crazy good with 10 strikeouts, I had to try and pick him up as soon as possible. So really happy I managed to do that for sure.
You moved to 3-0, your first place in the league, beating now the last place team, excuse me, the second to last place team, which is Gordie, who has moved to 0-3. The second top performer in the week was Kyle in a very close matchup against Jon. That one turned out to be a final score of 810 to 804. So just a matter of like 6 points. I mean, that's just like a couple of hits. That's a difference of like a home run. So both teams performed well that week, and it really turned into a close matchup.
Yeah, this was a very tight one. Had a few tight matchups that past week, but yeah, I mean, looking very similar on the hitter front here. Other than O'Neal Cruz on Kyle's team there was a bit of a difference maker with 72 points there. He performed very well. But yeah, it seems like a lot of these bats did really well on both sides. And that's why it was that close. And the pitchers, um, yeah, looked pretty similar as well.
Yeah, Michael Waka was a big pickup for Kyle last week. Has started off the season very nicely and ended up putting up a 46.5 in a very favorable matchup against Chicago. So that, that could have definitely turned out to be, a big difference in that matchup.
That's true. Yeah, that was a really good matchup or really good pickup, I mean to say. Yeah.
Definitely. All right, let's look at my matchup against Tom. We were on vacation together in Florida going at it, and I did end up coming away with the victory, moving into second place in the league with a 3-0 record. Tom falls to 1-2. Um, Standouts for me, Sal Stewart has been awesome picking him up from my stash. He's been great for the Reds, looking like he's going to be definitely fighting for that Rookie of the Year. Luis Castillo was a disappointment, as well as Cole Reagans and Chase Burns. All three of those guys, and actually Cody Senga as well, all four of those guys putting up negatives for me. I definitely ended up underperforming in this week. Some highlights for Tom's team. Yeah, again, Andy Pajes has been excellent for Los Angeles. He's ranked 11th currently in fantasy in Yahoo. He put up 60 points, but Tom maybe not getting what he wanted to out of his pitching, and he has had some injuries that have been unfortunate as well.
Yeah, all great points you mentioned there. I mean, gotta butter you up here with Jacob deGrom's performance. I mean, that is incredible. Like the points you got from him, and yeah, really cool. He's just still doing that at his age and stuff. So yeah, pretty awesome. He's on your team and performing that well for you this early in the season.
Yeah, he had a nice start on Sunday. I got the double start out of him, and he pitched really well against Los Angeles. He went 6 innings with 9 strikeouts. So great to see from DeGrom, who's started off the season really well for Texas, hoping that he stays healthy. As I know, there's always question marks with DeGrom's health. As we have just a few more minutes here, we're going to quickly go through just a few more matchups. We'll go to Joe against Cade. Not a close matchup, 626 to 477. Joe moves into fifth at 2-1. Cade in last place at 0-3 falls to 10th place. And we've got, let's see, is there just one more matchup to highlight? I want to save the best one for last year. Have we gone through all of them except for this
Yes.
last one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this last one's
I know we didn't
crazy.
get into the specifics with Joe and Cade, but had to save a little bit of time to talk about the matchup between the Stephen Hawkings and bye week. The final score, 715.8 to 714.2. Walt, from my understanding, based on a Snapchat that he sent me earlier today, went to bed thinking that he had won the matchup. He
Oh
proceeded to
man.
wake up in the morning and there ended up being a point correction by Yahoo. And so JD ended up taking the win. More to come from JD on that, hopefully, once he joins on the second segment. There's also now a rumor that Joe, fresh out of his busyness of tax season, will also be joining us for the second segment. But this really was an insane matchup. When you look at the final score and you consider the fact that Yahoo, whatever stat correction they made ended up really being the difference maker in who ended up winning this matchup.
I think at this point Yahoo has it out for Walt's team now, because that's twice now that has happened. I remember it happened in a matchup of mine against him last year, and I went to bed thinking I lost and woke up and I had won with a stat correction. So that is unfortunately two times now that has happened to Walt, where that must be a horrible feeling to see you lost in the morning because of a stat correction. So boy, yeah, that's crazy. But I do want to highlight someone on here. The pitcher Soriano has just been like the top pitcher in MLB right now. He has just been lights out, incredible. Getting him 107 points as a pitcher. I mean, that is crazy. That is he's like Skeens and Scuba combined over here. I don't know what's going on.
15 innings, 20 strikeouts, just 5 hits given up, just 1 run and 3 walks in 2 starts for week 3. A huge difference maker for Walt. And Soriano he's been excellent for Los Angeles. As we have just a couple more minutes before we head over to our break and before we have 2 other podcast league members join us, a quick look at the week 4 matchups, which are in full swing at this point. The Lou Collins Heartthrobbers, my team, is facing off against Gordie, the Brant Herder fan club. The newest dad in the league is facing the only other dad in the league. It's the Detroit Mariners, Jhoan, against the barrel-aged boys of Tom. Walt looks to get back into the win column against Cade, bye week against Otani's Interpreters. Walt is currently sitting at the top of the league. They're in the top 2 or 3 of the league in points right now, but unfortunately is in 6th at 1-2. Just is struggling to win matchups, which was a common pattern for him last season. Kerry Bonds, Joe, facing off against Kyle, the Schwarbenbach enthusiast who has gotten off to a very strong start this season. And then our final matchup to highlight, it's going to be the reigning champion, the Stephen Hawkings, against the first place team, Rizztopia. The projections right now for that one, Carter, are favoring the Stephen Hawkings. Have you set your full lineup for the week yet?
I usually set my lineup on the day, so every morning I'll like move the pitchers based on when they're going. I don't usually do it like on like Monday for the whole week. So hopefully those projections change a little bit, because it's got him winning by 100 points there. So but I mean, I feel like that's pretty realistic as well. If there's anyone to unseat Rizztopia right now, it would be JD. So excited to see how it shakes out.
Should be a great week 4 of matchups. We're going to go ahead to our sponsor right now, but please stay with us as we are going to highlight the top 5 batters and top 5 pitchers by point totals based on Yahoo Fantasy coming up next.
Homemade bread.
For the bake sale.
Be great with Country Crock.
Hey.
All that rich, buttery taste.
Let's take Country Crock with us.
Stay here and loaf around.
Come taste the country. Rich and buttery, but with fewer calories and no cholesterol. Shed Spread Country Crock, the taste of the country.
Welcome back to the LBFL podcast, and thank you to our sponsor, Country Crock. I know Carter got buttered up in the first segment. I may have gotten a little bit buttered up there in the first segment too. So big shout out to Country Crock for keeping it clean for us when it comes to all spreadable products. Mistakenly, we have been referring to this episode as episode 6. This is episode 7. As you can see, this was not a very well thought out episode. And so, we got a little 6-7 going on here. And honestly, I thought Country Crock was a fitting sponsor for this episode, but it honestly seems like this episode should be sponsored by math, because we just multiplied by 2 or added by 2, however you want to look at it. We've got JD and Joe joining us for the second segment here of episode 7. Welcome back, boys, after a couple of weeks, well, really just the 1 week off. Good to have you guys back.
Good to be back.
Yeah, glad I could jump in. Wasn't sure I could make it in tonight.
Well, good to have you both. In the first half of the episode, we talked about the week 2 and 3 matchup results. We took a quick preview at the week 4 matchups. And now we're going to switch gears here and we're going to highlight some players, some of which we've already talked about in this episode, and some whose names have maybe not been mentioned yet. But we're going to go ahead and look at the top 5 batters in the Yahoo Fantasy rankings. And then afterwards, we'll look at the top 5 pitchers. So why don't we get right into looking at the top 5 batters, starting with number 1. And you're going to see a common theme here. We got some tall dudes at the top of this list, but it is going to be Yordan Alvarez of the Houston Astros at 6'4", 237. He's 28 years old. And if you look back to last season, he played just 48 games. He ended up going down with an injury for Houston, a huge loss for them. And it's a player that we actually highlighted as a potential comeback player of the year. I believe it was a couple of our picks. I got one finger up there for Joe. This man has burst back onto the scene. Houston is struggling, but Alvarez has been an extreme bright spot for the Astros, currently sitting at 204 points. He has hit 6 home runs, already matching last season's total in a total of 17 games this year, has driven in 14 with a 1.201 OPS. He is doing really, really well for Houston and for Walt's team bye week.
Yeah, really a good bright spot right now for the Houston Astros. They don't have a ton of bright spots right now, especially with their pitching woes that they're kind of going through. But good to see Yordan get off to that good start that a lot of people were probably questioning, especially because he only played, like you said, 48 games last year. But good to see out a guy with some light tower power.
Yeah. I know health has always kind of been his enemy throughout his career, but he's definitely shown in the past if he's healthy, he is firing on all cylinders. I mean, he's a elite bat and top tier player there. So yeah, it's no surprise that he's ranked number 1 here.
I can't believe he's only 28. That's
It feels
insane.
like he's been in the league forever now.
Yeah, he's had his fair share
Just
of
hitting
injury
his prime.
struggles over the years too. His rookie year, he only played 87 games. The next season, he was pretty much out the whole year. He only played 2 games. So the most amount of games he's played was back in 24, where he played 147. The 2020 year was the shortened year anyway, but still only
Right.
like 2 games out of 60. He's had his fair share of injuries. So hoping he can stay healthy for Houston. But what's interesting to note is the walk rate seems to be going up. He's walked 16 times over 17 games. And honestly, I mean, I don't even know how many points a walk is worth in fantasy, but once you start to get like 1 per game, I mean, those are starting to pile up quite a bit. I mean, that's just adding to his point total. And I think that's a big reason why he is ranked number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're like 2.5 points, right? Something like that.
You would know better than me. There's only 2 other guys in the MLB right now with 15 walks, Mike Trout and Manny Machado. So clearly, these guys they're getting pitched around, which is no surprise for Yordan. All right, should we look at the second ranked batter? That's going to be James Wood of Rizztopia of the Washington Nationals. I think at this point, it's safe to say that Rizztopia is a better team and a better franchise overall than the Washington Nationals. I mean, sure, Washington won a World Series a few years ago, but with Carter putting up over 1,000 points in the second week, as we highlighted in the first segment of this episode, he's 3-0, he's top of the league. I mean, but honestly, like on a more serious note, I mean, Wood has been a huge part of Carter, your success to start this 2026 LBFL season.
Yeah, he absolutely carried me that last week there when I got over 1,000 points there. And he just like completely turned it around. I mean, the first week when the season started, he was like stone cold. And I know he was kind of like that during spring training as well. He just didn't look too good, and then all of a sudden it's flipped for him, and he is blasting every ball thrown to him into into the rafters there. So pretty cool to see him turn around so quickly there at the beginning of the season here.
We do have to highlight his height as well. We're going to highlight each height of these players because we're seeing a very obvious common theme. James Wood is 6'6". I guess we'll give his weight as well, 234. I mean, these are some big dudes. And James Wood, after last season, I think there were some question marks on, well, he's still like maybe an all-star caliber player, but is he going to kind of reach that superstar threshold level? And it seems like with the way that he's starting the season, he's showing us once again, like, yeah, maybe he will reach kind of that superstar status. I mean, last year, looking at his stats, he had 31 home runs, 94 runs batted in, 256. To start this season, he's got 5 bombs, 14 runs batted in. He's batting 270. Now it looks like his walk rate was there last year. It's looking stronger to start the year this season. But the slugging percentage is off the charts. 603. Now he's hitting doubles. He's driving gaps. I mean, James Wood seems like he's the real deal at just 23 years old.
Yeah, and I'm hoping. I mean, he's got the speed as well. He was a little shy last year with it, and I'm hoping he can steal a few more bats this year as well, and kind of utilize that power as well.
Good
Is he as
point.
fast as Junior Caminero though?
I don't know if he's as fast as Junior. I don't know about that.
He's not.
Love to see that race.
He's not. Yeah, Junior Caminero and Chandler Simpson are fighting for that top steal spot,
Yeah. And I think Junior's winning.
You might be.
He's the real life beat the freeze.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Junior Caminero is beat the freeze for the Rays. They need to make him do that run, like after like the 5th or 6th inning, something like that, and just be like, "All right, Junior, time to head out to left field. You're gonna go pole to pole." We're bringing out Brandon Inge to face off against you tonight. He's got his own baseball facility now. Be careful. He's got some speed. Let's get back to our top 5. Let's go over to the tallest of this top 5 list at 6'7". We've got O'Neal Cruz, 248 pounds. He's 27 years old, of the Pittsburgh Pirates. He's got all the talent in the world. I mean, I think we've seen that on display since he, came into the league back in 2021. And he was highlighted in our last episode for his just horrendous defense out in center field. Basically ruined Paul Skeen's first start of the year. But on the bright side, at least he is producing offensively for Schwarzenbach enthusiast Kyle. He's got 5 home runs, 14 runs batted in. He's already stolen 7 bases, only gotten caught once, hitting .344, OPS over 1,000. I mean, guys, after coming off a season in which he only batted .200, is this a fluke?
Yes.
There's no way he gives this up, right?
No. I mean, if you look, those numbers are great. The 339, like you said, he's got 5 bombs, 7 steals. He struck out 20 times, and you're like, oh, it could be higher. There's already been 17 games. He's averaging a little over 1 strikeout a game. He's only walked 5 times. It's a pretty bad ratio of one walk every 4 strikeouts. I don't think he's going to be able to maintain this. I think this batting average will fall. I don't know how fast, but I say he probably ends the year hitting about 260.
Sounds about right.
Somebody, I guess, has to carry Pittsburgh offensively. I just don't know if it's going to be O'Neal Cruz. It might have to be O'Neal Cruz. I mean, it seems like Pittsburgh's kind of figured it out from a pitching standpoint, right? But offensively, I still think there are some gaps, I think, in that lineup. It's definitely stronger than it was last year. You know, they did have a couple of ads. Brandon Lau added into that lineup, as well as
Ryan
Marcel
O'Hearn.
Ozuna, Ryan O'Hearn. So, you know,
Yeah,
the lineup
right.
looks better, but it seems like this cannot be sustained for O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah, I mean, he's already at a .7 WAR. That's pretty impressive, but that defense is going to be bringing it down soon, even more than it already probably is affecting it.
Yeah, you got to think they might try to put him back in the infield if he keeps up the poor defensive metrics, but I guess only time will tell. Let's move on to a different Cruz. That's Elly De La Cruz of the Cincinnati Reds and of the newest team owner, Gordie, the Brant Herter fan club. Really nice start for Elly De La Cruz for the Reds. 5 home runs, 10 runs batted in. He's stolen 5 bases, hitting .281. And what also kind of stands out a little bit is a little bit more of a promising walk rate. He's walked 8 times. I mean, we're pretty early in the season here, but I think the one thing looking back to last year is he hit 264, on base percentage was 336. You want to see that on base percentage climb because he is such a speed threat.
Right. I mean, looking at last year, 37 bags. Looking at the year before, 67 stolen bases. You take what you take with him. The strikeouts are always going to be a big problem for him. Past 2 years, 181, and then he led the league in 2024 with 218. But you're almost more okay with that if he learns how to walk a little bit more and he just raises that on base percentage. You work with the strikeouts because chances are if he hits a single, it's going to end up being turned into a double with a stolen base because he's got that great speed.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Elly De La Cruz, got to mention that height, 6'6", 200 pounds, 24 years old. He's a shortstop. Looks like he's got a nice, bright future in Cincinnati. Let's go to our final batter of the top 5. That's going to be Jordan Walker of the St. Louis Cardinals. He's 6'6" at 250, just 23 years old. Feels like we've been talking about this guy for quite some time. I mean, he came into the league and had pretty much a full season back in 2023. And at that time, I think he was, I don't know if my math's serving me correctly here. I'll go to Joe, the accountant up there. I think he was 19 years old when he came into the league.
In 2023, when he came into the league, he was 21.
Okay, so my math sucks then. This episode is definitely not sponsored by math. I don't know why I was thinking he was under 21 when he came into the league, but anyway.
I think he had like just turned 21 when he came into the league.
Okay. No, maybe I wasn't too far off then. Give or take a year or two. But Jordan Walker's been hot. 7 home runs, 14 runs batted in, batting .321. For a team that you really don't expect to do much in the NL Central. But from a fantasy standpoint, I mean, this guy was just sitting over on free agents, and Mr. Rizztopia, Mr. I'm first place in the league at 3-0, decided I'm going to pick him up. And this guy has been on, I know, at least one other team because Walt had him for a bit. There may have been another team owner that had him too. So he has bounced around in the LBFL. And yeah, you look at his production from last year, it was not there at all. I mean, he's already surpassed his home run total. He had 111 games last year. He hit 6 home runs. He's hit 7 home runs already this season. This is the most real that we have seen Jordan Walker since his rookie year, which looked promising. Now he's looking like he could turn into an all-star caliber player.
Yeah, I was pretty happy with that pickup there. I actually wasn't really too familiar with him before picking him up. I just heard a lot of alarm bells online, like, oh, this is a breakout happening, you know, scoop him up if you can, like a former top prospect and stuff. So yeah, took a chance on him, picking him up, and he did very well for my team there that week for sure. And I've heard too, you know, he kind of had before in the past, like you were saying, like kind of few fake outs, like it looked like he was breaking out and he wasn't. So yeah, we'll have to kind of wait and see if this is a true breakout here.
I remember him being like on the kind of the top of those young guys when we first drafted for the league, like that he was one of the guys that was just constantly being talked about. And you hear about like his frame, like we have talked about the height of all these guys, the big dude, a shortstop. So there's a lot of just base talent there and a lot of good potential. And it seems like he just made some adjustments with his swing and he's figured it out. It took him a couple of years, but he's got plenty of time ahead of him. So, I mean, there are a lot of guys that don't figure it out right away. And when they do, it's like they take off. So Cardinals
Right.
might have a good one here now.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at his prior 3 seasons, if you would have told me this was his rookie year, I think a lot of people would believe that just with how bad he's been his prior 3 years. I think a lot of people are trying to forget that. He has a 1.4 WAR right now. And to put into perspective how bad his prior 3 seasons were, he is at a career negative 1.3 WAR. And he has a 1.4 WAR this year. So that just puts into perspective how crappy of a time he's really had in the league up until right now. And I think it's really great to see, like you said, leading in home runs. He's leading in slugging percentage at 745. He's leading in total bases. He's hitting 327, 17 strikeouts and 6 walks. Not the best ratio, but it's still great. Really, really good to see out of him. And he is still young. He's only 24 years old. So definitely love to see what he'll bring for the rest of the year.
23. Only 23.
Correct. 23.
So your math is now off. So now we're tied.
Yeah. 1 to 1. Although I didn't call it episode 6. So
I know.
We'll do some
But you
multiplication
weren't
tables at
on
the
to
end of
correct me.
You're right. You're right.
Now I know this doesn't factor. Oh, we got a little hawking glitch going on here.
Oh no.
You can repeat if you want. I don't know what you
Nope.
said.
It wasn't that funny. The time's passed, so we'll chalk that up to an L.
Time never passes
Like
when
the rest of my season.
time never passes when time travel is possible.
Good point.
I think that was one of Stephen Hawking's quotes, actually. Makes you think, doesn't it?
Makes you think.
Yeah, thinking real hard.
I got to bring up one more thing here. I know it doesn't really factor into any sort of fantasy points, but I mean, this is what keeps players in the lineup is their defense, right? Like we talked about O'Neal Cruz's poor defense for Pittsburgh. Jordan Walker has had some really, really bad defensive metrics during most of his major league career. He started to show some signs of improvement in 2025. And finally, I think he started to have a little bit more confidence in the 2026 season. He actually had an outfield assist back on the 3rd of April, threw the ball 100.6 miles per hour to home to get an outfield assist. So he definitely got an arm, which makes sense with that frame. This was against the Tigers. He got Javi Baez trying to go for home in one of those games between the Cardinals and the Tigers. So I think it's a whole confidence package going on here because he's turned it on a little bit defensively and obviously even more so on the offensive front.
Yeah, for sure.
Be cool to see.
So those are the top 5 batters in Yahoo Fantasy: Alvarez, Wood, Cruz, De La Cruz, and Walker. All just massive, massive guys. And you typically think with heights like 6'6", they would be pitchers. Let's go over to our pitchers now and look at the top 5. We've already talked about him in the first segment. Ranked at number 1 amongst all pitchers in Yahoo Fantasy and ranked 4th overall amongst all players, which is absolutely unheard of for a pitcher, is Jose Soriano of the Los Angeles Angels. Looking at the points he's put up in his 4 starts, we talked about his 15 innings last week for Walt. He put up 50 plus points. And then in his first 2 starts, he had 30 plus points. I mean, Jose Soriano for an Angels team that, again, you don't really expect them to do anything. He's already up at a 4-0 record. He's got, man, I'm doing some math on the fly here. This is dangerous. He's got, I shouldn't even be doing
Don't do it.
31 strikeouts. Is that correct?
Probably not.
Yeah, I counted 31.
Let's go.
Yeah, 31.
Hey!
Let's go. I think that gives me a negative, so I think I'm winning 1-0 now.
Yeah. You got a negative war on your math questions.
But yeah, I mean, did anybody expect this from Jose Soriano? Like, I know he had some good starts last year, but he's leading the league in strikeouts. His ERA plus, this might be the craziest of all. His ERA plus is 1,274.
I thought that was a typo. I just saw that. I was like, that's not real.
1 run in 27 innings. I mean, if he keeps this up, it's going to be really difficult for anybody to catch him for Cy Young. I mean, he's going to be fighting for Triple Crown.
At this point, I think if he keeps up these numbers, he's going to be fighting for MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, this is unheard of. A .33 ERA across 27 innings is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, Walt's definitely raking it in from Mr. Soriano himself. Let's go to number 2. That is Cam Schlittler. I actually said it right this time. Don't go back and watch whatever episode I botched his name in. I will not mispronounce his name again. But I'm going to hand this one over to Joe because, Joe, you picked him up. He's on your team, and he's pitched really well for the Yankees to start the season.
Yeah, I picked him up last year. I believe it was one of the last weeks of the season when we could still add people. And I added him right before the playoffs, hoping he would help me with a nice playoff push. And he did his job last year. So he was definitely going to be one of my keeps going into this year. But he's had a pretty solid campaign to start. Across 21 innings, he has 30 strikeouts. He's 2-1 with a 2.49 ERA. It's not bad at all. Now it's no Jose Soriano with a 1,200 ERA plus, but he's still got a 164. And if you look at his FIP too, his FIP is league leading, which is 0.51. So pretty great to see out of him. I'm glad I kept him on my team and looking to be my ace probably moving forward here.
Yeah, he's like, even though he's on Joe's team, he's like one of my favorite pitchers in the league. I mean, he's really cool. I love the player, and yeah, he's got a great pitch mix and everything. And yeah, I think he's going to be really good for the whole season here.
All right, let's move over to number 3. We already talked about him a little bit. John wanted him. I wanted him. I don't know if there was anybody else. Okay, so JD wanted him. I mean, I think like half the league was trying to pick him up after we watched his performance against Detroit the other day. Taj Bradley, the right-hander for the Minnesota Twins, former Tampa Bay Ray, who actually was on, I believe, Carter, you had him last year. You dropped him, right?
No, I think Joe had him for the majority of the
Joe,
season.
you had him. Okay. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
He
Joe,
got hurt too many times, and so he's waiting for me to get hurt by Taj.
yeah, give us your perspective on Bradley last year. I mean, it seemed like an obvious decision to drop him, and nobody picked him up to begin the season. But when you go 29, 27, 43, it's kind of a must pick up at that point. He's increased his velocity, his breaking stuff looks nasty. He looks like a whole different pitcher this year.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, it's just stupid. Um, he could pitch the whole time, and he just didn't want to, or I mean, it's dumb. Um, I knew he had good stuff. I saw that last year. I was like, wow, if he's on, he's on. Too bad he was never on. Like he would have like two really good innings in a game, and you're like, wow, his stuff could be disgusting. And then it'd be like walk, walk, hit batter, single, double, walk, hit batter, and then they pull him in the third. So I got no points out of him, and I thought it was quite honestly one of the easiest decisions to get him off my team. I was like, there goes my negative points. Bye bye. Nope. Nope. He wants to start playing baseball. That's really cool. I would have loved to have known what sport he was playing last year because it wasn't baseball.
I remember you were so loyal to him for so long too. Like you went above and beyond holding him where I think most teams would have dropped him before. But yeah, you saw the stuff he had, and you were a believer for a long time there. Just got burned too many times.
Yeah, I didn't hold out long enough.
I think the best part about the pickup is his age. He's only 25. I mean, JD already kind of highlighted some of these guys that like from a hitting perspective, it takes them a few years to kind of get it going, or maybe they come out hot right out the get-go for their first 100 games and they come back the next season, sophomore slump, hard to come back from that. But I mean, it happens for pitchers too. I mean, look at Casey Mize last year, right? Like makes an all-star team for the first time. I mean, Taj Bradley is looking like he could probably be this year's Casey Mize, maybe make an all-star team for Minnesota. I mean, nobody's really expecting the Twins to do a whole lot. New opportunity with a new ball club, first year. Oh wait, no, he was with the Twins. He was with the Twins last year. Okay, he was traded. So still kind of like a newer organization, like a newer look for him. Hasn't given up a home run so far in his 21 innings. So looking like a really nice pickup for Minnesota and for Rizztopia.
Yeah, really, really nice. Congrats.
I think we need to give Carter a new nickname, like fastest draw in the West or something, because he like snags these guys so quickly. It's amazing.
Yeah. He had a 5+ ERA last year. I had him for like the whole damn year. I sat on him. I was like, you know what? He'll figure it out. He'll figure it out. No, the hell he won't. Turns out he could. He could figure it out.
He definitely could. We got two more pitchers to highlight, with the next one being our only relief pitcher, Detroit Mariner and San Diego Padre, Mason Miller. My goodness. This guy is unstoppable. We're continuing with the whole 6-7 theme going on here tonight. He's ranked 67th overall in the league, which is crazy for a relief pitcher. But this guy is, he's unhittable, and he's coming out, and he's pretty much striking out the side every single time. First outing, 2 strikeouts. Second outing, 3 strikeouts. Next outing, 3. Outing after that, 3. Next outing, 2. Back-to-back outings with 3 and 3. I mean, my goodness, this guy is untouchable. And like we have seen, like there's been a few cases where a relief pitcher has won Cy Young Award. It seems like it will never happen again. But But if you continue on this track, he's going to be a top 3 Cy Young vote getter. If he continues to close down ball games like this, 7 1/3, 19 strikeouts, 4 saves for the Padres. It's absolutely off the charts. I only thing I can think of is the A's really made a mistake getting rid of him. I'd have to look at the return that Oakland, well, not Oakland anymore, Sacramento, Las Vegas, whatever you want to call him. I'd have to look at the return that the A's got for him. But man, it seems like a mistake that the Athletics let him go.
They got
They got the Breeze, so
yeah,
he's
it was a big return.
You don't know what he's going to turn into, though. You know what I'm like?
Right.
He's going to take a little time.
He looks like Lindor, dude.
I do think he's going to end up being very good, but the A's, it had to have been a tough decision to move on from Miller. I mean, like you had said, 7 innings with 19 strikeouts. To put that into perspective, the 2-time Cy Young winner, Tarek Skubal, he's pitched 24 innings and has 23 strikeouts. So he has over double the amount of innings and only 4 more strikeouts than him. The dude is insane. I think he should seriously be considered for the Cy Young when the time comes if he keeps this up. I believe the last winner of the Cy Young was Wagner Gagne in 03 or something.
Wow.
I mean, he has the best points out of the NL. Technically, I know this is fantasy and not real, but the next closest is Alcantara.
Yeah. As much as I love Sandy, he's not going to keep that up. So, yeah, Mason Miller is definitely a contender for those votes.
Yeah, Alcantara is an honorable mention. He just misses the cut at number 6, and then Skubal's just below him at 7. But number 5, he pitched in the first MLB game this season against San Francisco. That's Max Fried. He's on the Luke Collins Heart Droppers. Funny because he just pitched 8 innings against Tampa Bay. Only put up 25.2 points in that start. Had 6 strikeouts, gave up 6 hits. I don't know how that performance turns into a 25, other than the fact that he didn't get the win. But he's been really solid for New York. I mean, once New York gets Cole back, that rotation is going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Max Fried might be the definition of like dependable. Every time he goes out there, he's gonna absolutely shove the ball, and you know it. So, no shock there.
I'm assuming the Braves are regretting letting him go at this point. He's on an 8-year, $218 million deal, which he signed in December of 24. That deal is looking really nice right now for the Yankees.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. He is an incredible pitcher for sure.
Well, that's going to round out.
Team.
Yeah, nice to have him on the team. Definitely, when I drafted him originally, did not expect him to kind of be like an ace tier pitcher. Definitely seems like more of a number 2 kind of guy, but he's an ace for sure. So hoping he keeps it up. As we look to round out the episode 7, episode 6, whatever you want to call it, I don't even know at this point. I mean, after a week off, I'm like completely out of sorts. We do have just 5 minutes left in this episode. Why don't we go ahead and do some last minute thought provoking statements and shout outs? I'm going to kick us off. We already gave Jon a big shout out. Congratulations again to the new father. I think that's worth mentioning again. Baby O born in the middle of the night here on this beautiful Monday in April. So a big congratulations to the league commissioner and owner of the Detroit Mariners. And it sounds like he's also going to be the heir of the Detroit Mariners. I mean, he might end up taking over this team one day. So pretty cool stuff for Jon. Would like to give a shout out to the other Jon, Mr. JD, Mr. Hawking. I mean, man, JD came in clutch. I was out of town last week in Florida. JD came and he stayed the week with the kitty cat Roma. So just want to give him a big shout out for the house sitting, for the pet sitting, and for locking it down here on Alger.
She's a great cat. Had a good time.
Gotta hear more. We gotta hear more.
More. I don't know. She's crazy, but she's awesome at the same time.
That definitely sums her up.
Yeah. It was a good time together. She kept it interesting for sure.
That sounds about right. All right, who's next?
Yeah.
I'll go. I'm gonna give my shout out to Kyle. I am playing him this week, and I would just like to congratulate him on the win. If you ask, wow, Joe, it's the first day of the week. What's happening? I am sitting at -3 points, and you're like, oh, you only had like one guy go and he didn't do great. No, I've had a lot of my guys go. Actually, pretty much all of them, and you're like, well, how are you still negative? Garret Crochet tonight, 1 2/3 innings, 9 hits, 10 earned runs, 3 walks, and a hit by pitch. If you're wondering, Joe, how many negative points is that? That would be -41.9.
Just wait till
41.9 points.
he's gonna get the loss. Do you get a no? I guess you don't get a negative for a
Yeah.
loss. He just put up a Tanner Houck from last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the worst than 10. That's
You
the
know-
worst.
That's
like-
got to be the worst one.
Yeah, you know how like no hitters are so cool. What about yes hitters? What about every single guy getting a hit? Yeah.
That is
So
insane.
congratulations, Kyle. You are currently beating me -3.3 to 125.9. So have fun with your win this week.
So- I guess they
Absolutely
thought he was going to
insane.
get out of that jam.
All right, 2-minute warning. Who's next?
Carter, go ahead.
I don't have anything. I was exactly what Leo was going to say in my head. I was just going to congratulate Jon again. So has some incredible news from there. So congrats again to his baby boy.
I'm gonna shout out my internet that's been in and out all night, hence why I haven't talked as much. Also the miracle.
Oh no!
That couldn't have been
Wait,
better
it-
timing.
This past week. I don't know if you guys talked about this in the first segment. Yeah, I knew it. Okay, I'm just gonna not talk.
No!
All I know is some kind of miracle happened. I
Yeah, we
guarantee
got-
we didn't talk about it unless the miracle was Walt Weiss tackling Jorge Soler.
No, the miracle was it was another thing that happened with thing that happened last year with Walt and Carter, where like Walt won
we
first.
we did talk about
Yeah,
that.
you already talked. Okay, I knew. I thought you would have. So that's the miracle.
Well, there was a
There's a
miracle on
miracle
ice
there.
back in 1980. There's a miracle on
Yeah, I need a
field
miracle on my
here in
Wi-Fi.
2026. And with that, we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in to episode 7 of the LBFL podcast. Be sure to tune in next week on April 20th. But in the meantime, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us here tonight. Never stop chasing your little big league dreams.